Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about November. Crazy to think that we're already at that time of the year, but as always, I was thinking we could do a fall TBR. Now, here's the thing. This is a very overly ambitious list of books. I don't know if I'll actually be reading all of these in November, and I'm pretty sure more books will be added as we go, but here are some of the books that I was potentially contemplating of trying to read this November, and I thought it might be fun to share it with you guys. That being said, hey guys, welcome to another video. If you're new here, welcome to J-Bay's Corner. I tech all things books with a sprinkling of randomness here and there, whether that be travel, hauls, book-related merch, vacations, that type of thing. But primarily all things books. We're trying to create a community here in this little corner of the internet where we can safely talk about all different types of books and discuss our thoughts and feelings and opinions on these different books. That being said, this video, I am going to be running back and forth between the bookshelves and the stack of books I have here. There were only so many I could put on the desk, which is part of the reason why I was saying this is not a realistic TBR as much as it is just fall vibe reads that I would like to get through. And we all know how that goes. So without further ado, the first book on the stack of books that we have over here is the new M.L Rio book, Graveyard Shift. Now, M.L Rio happened to write one of my all-time favorite novels, which is none other than When We Were Villains. That is probably one of the best dark academia books I have ever read. It was also one of my first dark academia books that I read that kind of introduced me into the foray of what is dark academia. And I absolutely loved M.L Rio's writing style. So I'm very, very excited for this novella. I love the cover as well with the rat and the mushrooms and just the vibes as well. So here's the back. We have 5 night shift workers, an ancient cemetery, an open grave. Every night in the college's ancient cemetery, 5 people cross paths as they work the late shift. A bartender, a rideshare driver, a hotel receptionist, the unofficial steward of the derelict church that looms over them, and the editor-in-chief of the college paper, always in search of a story. One dark October evening in the defunct churchyard, they find a hole that wasn't there before, a fresh open grave where no grave should be. But who dug it and for whom? Atmospheric and eerie with the ensemble cast her fans love and delightfully familiar academic backdrop, Graveyard Shift is a modern gothic tale, and If We Were Villains authors M.L Rio's inimitable style. Super excited to read this. I am actually filming this video in October still, so there's a good chance that I might actually end up reading this before we even hit November. But that being said, if that does happen, you guys will see it in my October reading wrap up. But very excited to tackle this. It is a really short book. It's not even over 140 pages, so probably something you can sit down and read in one day, especially with M.L Rio's writing style. So super excited to check out this book. By the way, if you guys randomly heard meowing in the background, it's because we have a guest visitor today. This is Miss Takasito, Miss Minerva Taco, my most beautiful, precious little cat. Hi, Princess. You want to say hi? You want to say hi? Say hi, everyone. She's in timeout here with me, and she's not very much enjoying it because she was eating her big sister's food, weren't you? Yeah, I know. I know you were eating your big sister's food. That's not very nice. No, it's not. So, I know you wanted to, but it's not nice. Okay? You don't do that. Okay. Well, if you're not learning your lessons, you're going to stay in timeout. So, all I can say, it's up to her to do the rest, you know? Next up, I have here a thriller. This is The Boyfriend. This was actually one of the books that was listed on Book of the Month. I happened to find the paperback and pick it up because this month for Book of the Month, I ended up actually doing a audiobook on their website, which was a paranormal romance, which I have yet to listen to. But that was also very intriguing because on Book of the Month, if you end up getting an audiobook as your choice, you actually can't use your credits towards getting a physical book as well, but you can do a physical book first and then get an audiobook is what I was told by the Book of the Month team. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. So basically, this is the story of the boyfriend, where basically this young woman who has been single for a very, very long period of time meets a man, thinks he's the perfect man, only to find out that he may or may not be a serial killer, and now she's stuck in this very, very scary relationship. So it is supposed to be thriller vibes. I am curious to see where this book will take me. So that is another book that is on the fall vibes TBR. Then next up, I have this book. I just thought this also had like slight Christmas vibes, even though it's a darker cover. I just love the red and the green and the gold and the black. I just think it's so festive. But it just sounded hilarious to me. Murder Your Employer is the name of this book. Let me read you guys the back. This is why I picked it up. Who hasn't wondered what the world would be like if a person who is the object of your affection ceased to exist? At the McMaster's Conservatory, future deletists, never murderers, learn the consummate execution of the homicidal arts. To this sumptuous campus come three memorable classmates, self-effacing Cliff Iverson, troubled Gemma Lindley, and Hollywood diva Doria May, all of whom have suffered menacing employers who richly deserve a deadly denouncement. Under the tutelage of Dean Harbinger Harrow and the fascinating faculty of McMaster's Halls of Poison Ivy, they hone their craft, each hoping to finesse a perfectly masterful murder. Called an American treasure, Los Angeles Times, a true Renaissance man by Newsweek, and a genius by London Times, Rupert Holmes brings his wickedly clever storytelling talents to this outrageous and darkly comic mystery set in a secret idyllic world where students of all ages learn how to do in others as you would have others do you in. So, just sounded absolutely hilarious to me. I think even the back of the book just sounds super amusing. So, definitely a book that I do see myself picking up and reading at some point, either in November, December, or January. So, it's just on my list, essentially. Next up, I have this lovely book. You might actually recognize this book from a recent haul that I did, which was from the Bookish box, I want to say. This book is This is from the Owl Crate website. They still have these last I checked, so you should be able to find it on Owl Crate if you want this particular copy. It is absolutely stunning. I love the painted edges. I love the beautiful, beautiful inner parts of the books. I love the fact that it's just stunning. And if I'm not mistaken, it is signed. Yes, it is signed, and it has a note from the author as well. So beautiful, beautiful book. But basically, this is a book about a spell shop that has magical books, and people who come there, this is what the back says, books should be shared with everyone who wants to open their minds and hearts to them. Beautiful, beautiful quote. And basically, the gist of this book, I believe, is that the main character is at a magical library, and there's just some opportunities for her to discover, like, herself and what she wants to do. It sounds kind of like cozy vibes. So definitely something that I see myself picking up around Thanksgiving or maybe like Christmas time, around the holidays, just to enjoy myself with a nice palette cleanser, light book for sure. But just seemed very cozy and perfect for the fall. Then next up, I have these two beauties. Now, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies was on Book Talk and all over BookTube for a while now. And I realized that the second book had also come out. I felt like these covers were just so perfect for the fall. And I also have heard mixed reviews as to whether this is good or not bad. It's supposed to be like cozy fantasy vibes. And so I was thinking to myself, that does sound like it's like perfect for this season of the year when you just want something cheerful, positive, happy, fun, uplifting, light, but you also want something that has that kind of fairy magical-esque vibe to it too. So these are the other two books that I thought would be fun for a fall time period. Maybe this is actually turning into books that I would love to read in fall TBR video. It's not so much the November TBR because I realize this is going to be all over the place. Next up, I have a couple of other books that people have been talking about. Now, you guys might have heard of Lori Gilmore. She writes cozy fantasy, again, very much in ties with like Gilmore Girl inspiration. So if you like Gilmore Girls or like the small town vibes, Heart of Dixie, like that type of stuff, this is definitely that kind of vibe. And so she wrote these beautiful cozy mysteries, cozy fall books. And this small town book was so popular when it first came out. It was flying off the shelves. In fact, it was to the point where people couldn't get their hands physically on the book. And that would be The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Lori Gilmore. I also think this cover is just absolutely stunning with the beautiful, beautiful glossing on the flowers. And it's just so, so cute. So that is one of the books I picked up. And then in that same town setting, there is the second book, The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. She also has a third book as well, which is The Christmas Tree Farm, which I have ordered, which will obviously be read in December. So these two books are for sure on my list, my short list for November. So these are definitely going to hit November. In fact, The Pumpkin Spice Cafe looks like it's the forerunning, most likely winner for our November book club read as well, which means that these for sure are going to be on that November TBR. So I'm excited for both of these, and I'm excited to get The Christmas Tree Farm to read in December. Then I have Can't Spell Treason Without T. This is another cozy fantasy where basically there are two partners who just want to start their lives together, have a nice cozy little library bookstore type of vibes that sells tea, and they just want to retire and hang all of their weapons up, but they keep getting called back for various situations that are happening around the kingdom and are expected to serve. So it is a sapphic romance, but it's supposed to be more like cozy fantasy. I am super excited to read this as well. It just seems like it's going to be so much fun, and I love this spine. I just love that color for the fall, and I'm just absolutely thrilled to pick this book up and read it. This is definitely on my short list for the fall because I do feel like it's just going to be a fun fantasy pickup read for me. Then I have these two guys on my short list as well. This is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree, as well as Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. This is a special edition from the Bookish Shop. Yeah, the Bookish Box Shop. I thought this cover was absolutely adorable. I love the fact that this is actually like, you can take it off to see what's going on underneath the cover too. So it's like a little glimpse into what the shop looks like. But this is basically cozy fantasy vibes as well. It's about a ogre, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Viv, I believe, is an ogre. She just wants to put her sword away. She wants to open up a nice little coffee shop, but of course with her years of travel, her years of fighting, she has also got some enemies that are around her as well. So she's just trying to retire and start this cozy job, but she keeps having people come by from her past as well as people interested in hearing her stories to her coffee shop when all she wants to do is chill and vibe. So these two books go together, and I believe they are in the same world and part of a series. So I am excited to kind of pick these up for the fall as well. They just felt like very fall cozy vibe books for me. Oh no, I ripped it. Frick. It's okay. We can take that, but I definitely ripped that cover I was just showing you guys. My bad. I'm going to tape it back together. Can't be trusted with nice books, apparently. Then I have Assistant to the Villain and Apprentice to the Villain. I love the fact that it has the opposing spines and colors. I believe this is a duology. There might be another book coming out, but these are the two that are out right now. It does follow the story of Evie, who is basically looking for a job. She ends up applying and getting chosen to be the assistant to the villain. The villain, of course, is a fun, ridiculous, grumpy, crazy guy who also happens to be the love interest for Evie, and she finds herself getting into some interesting situations. And then this book continues to follow Evie as well. My guess is after she's become the apprentice rather than the assistant to the villain. So I think it should be fun to see how this story unfolds. These both were very, very popular on Book Talk for a while, as well as in BookTube. They were showing up everywhere, and they're supposed to be funny, funny fantasy vibes and like magic and romance and all that stuff. So definitely see myself either reading this in October, November, or December. I do see myself picking this up in this upcoming holiday season. And as I mentioned, I am filming this in October, so we may get to these in October too. We shall see what happens. Then I have The Good, the Bad, and the Aunties. This is the second book in Dial A for Aunties, or sorry, the third book in Dial A for Aunties. And then I also have Four Aunties and a Wedding, which is the second book in the series. I am curious to see where this book will take me. It is a cozy murder mystery vibe, and I just thought that would be so much fun for Thanksgiving and for December. The other reason why this one in particular is kind of exciting for me is because I actually got married over Thanksgiving. That is my anniversary personally, and so there's just something special about a cozy murder mystery vibe about a wedding in that November time frame, right around the time that I get those bride vibes, if you know what I mean, because it is always fun to celebrate that anniversary with my hubby. And then in case those who didn't know or who are new to this channel, I have been married for almost 2 years now. So this will be our second anniversary together. So super excited for that. And then I have a series. Now this series has been on my TBR for quite some time. I loved Lucy Score's Riley Thorne series, which was basically about a psychic and a detective, and it's cozy murder for sure. I loved that series. I was obsessed with them. I thought the characters were quirky. It was so easy to just jump into that series and really sink my teeth into it. I also really enjoyed By a Thread by Lucy Score, so I'm hoping that's going to continue. I've heard wonderful things about the Knock 'Em Out series. I have not actually read any of them, and I've heard they are perfect for the fall. So I have picked up all 3 of those books, and they are also on my TBR. Now I do think these are going to make the November TBR because they have been on my list for quite some time now, and they do feel very fall vibes to me. So definitely will be reading these books. And now for a short, brief pause, we are going to go pick up some other books on our shelves, and we shall be right back for continuing this books that I potentially want to read this season. Be right back, guys. The shelves have actually significantly grown too since the last time I, filmed what's on my shelf video. So if you guys ever want an updated tour, I can do that. There's a little bit more themes going on with each of the shelves now than there was before as well. So yeah, all fun things. So I will definitely do an updated video on that at some point for you guys. Okay, I have even more books to show you guys for this video. So this is definitely not the November TBR. This is just like possible fall reads that I would have in mind. So continuing on that note, I also picked up a couple of books at Barnes & Noble's recently. These are The Coven and the Cursed. It is a duology written by Harper L. Woods. These are absolutely beautiful. These are the books that are currently being sold at Barnes & Noble's too. So if you do want these beautiful painted edges, now is your chance to pick them up. They are very atmospheric for October. I do feel like they'd be great for the spooky month of the year. So if you are a spooky reader like me or a mood reader like me, these definitely feel like they would be appropriate for the fall time as well. So they are on the short list for October's TBR if we get to them. My October TBR list is quite large and in charge, as you guys may have already seen. So we're going to make our way through those first, and then if we have space to read more, we'll read more. 2 other books that I have on the short list for both November as well as October are the V.E. Schwab books, The Savage Song, as well as Our Dark Duel. These are beautiful versions of these books from the Illumicrate website. Very excited to read these. I think they're going to be a ton of fun to read as well for the fall vibes season. Then I have 4 books here. I'm not going to read all 4. It would only be the 2 that are related to the fall. But these are the B.K. Borison Love Light Farms series. This selection of books came from Illumicrate as well. I am obsessed with these and their spines. Love Light Farms is the Christmas one, so this is one that is definitely going to be on my TBR for December. And then I believe it is Business Casual. That is the one for fall, and I do see myself reading this one as well. She has basically done seasonal books, so there's also one for spring and one for summer that will probably make the short list as well. So there's a possibility that I will be reading these out of order, and most likely I will be reading Business Casual first because it is the fall book, and then Love Light Farms I will probably read in December and then jump into spring and summer as those seasons roll by. Then I also have 2 more books from the Vampire Academy series. These are the next 2 books in that series of 6 books. So I did finish Vampire Academy already for this October, and I do see myself potentially picking up these 2 books and finishing them off as well. And then hopefully if the next 2 books arrive, I will probably finish those more likely in January than in the fall time, but I do see myself finishing this series by the time the first month of the new year ends, so I can complete all 6 books in the series. Then I have a couple of dark academia style books. We have Their Vicious Games as well as The Murder Game, which are young adult dark academias that I can see myself picking up. These were also selections for Barnes & Noble's book pick of the month a few months ago. So when I picked them up, I also had high hopes for them because they were the selected books by Barnes & Noble's as well. So we'll see how these go. But I see myself picking these up potentially in November or December timeframe as well. Then I have The Body by Stephen King. This book would be fun to read if I can get to it for October's spooky season. I think that this short story should be very interesting to read. I've seen good reviews about it. I love Stephen King's writing style. It already seems like it's going to be pretty intense. I have read the first 6 or 7 pages of this book, and the language and the way that the boys behave, I can already tell it's kind of more adult and mature. So I wasn't really in the mood to read that when I had first picked this up, but I do see myself potentially reading this for the fall time as well. Then I also like reading memoirs around this time of the year, and so I actually have a couple of memoirs that I might want to pick up, particularly in December or January, and that is Untamed by Glennon Doyle, which is the second book in that collection of books that she had written recently. I know she's done more than 2 books, but this one was the one that she released more recently, I believe. But I am excited to read this. I really enjoyed the other book that she wrote, which I'm now blanking on, guys. I'm so sorry. I cannot think of the name of that memoir, but that should also give you an idea of how often I read memoirs, but I really liked that Glennon Doyle book. It was kind of her story, so I enjoyed that one. So I'm curious to see what Untamed will uncover as well. Then I also have Britney Spears' The Woman in Me. I think this should be really fun to read, all the way from her development as a child star to where she is today. I think it will be interesting to see what that has to offer. And then I have I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. Heard great things about this one, and she talks a lot about growing up with her mom and all the pressures that she faced, her eating disorders, all that kind of stuff. So I think this one should be interesting read as well, to see where that takes us. Then I have a couple of young adult books. Renegades felt like it would be very appropriate for the fall. This is kind of like a superhero, human, fantasy set, and I think this would be just a fun read in general to see what the world building looks like and where it takes us. There are 3 books in this series. I do have all 3. Most likely if I start this one, I'll finish the series. I just don't know if I'll finish them all at once or if I'm going to break it up. But this one also felt very appropriate for the fall time. Then the book that I'm very particularly excited about, this is also a young adult. It's called Scythe. It's basically in a world where people don't die unless you have a scythe who comes after you to take your life. And they are people who are trained in the society to take this position. It's supposed to be kind of dystopian, I believe, as well. So very curious to see where this book takes me. I've heard wonderful, wonderful reviews about this book. In fact, I have all 4 books in the series, so I really do see myself diving into this sometime soon. And it's, I think, should be very, very, very interesting to see where this novel takes us. But basically, we're following a character who decides to train as a scythe and their experience, I believe. So very, very excited to see what that has to offer. Then I have all of Anna Huang's Pride series. I did read the Twisted series and I loved those books. I ended up reading them in the summer. I think they're fine for the summer, but I do think these give more winter fall vibes. So I'll probably end up reading these during the holiday season, but I do have all 4 of the books of sin that she has done so far. So we have Wrath, Pride, Greed, and Sloth. So I'm very curious to see where these books take us. And my understanding is that the characters in these books also have shown up periodically as random characters in the Twisted series. So it's in the same world. So I'm excited to jump into this because I feel like it should be pretty easy to follow all the characters and the storyline since I've already read the Twisted series. And then in the honor of series, I also have the Carrie Maniscalco Stalking Jack the Ripper series as well. I know these are young adult. Very excited to see where this can take me as well. I love Carrie Maniscalco's writing. I'm obsessed with Kingdom of the Wicked, and I'm absolutely obsessed with the Throne of series as well, with all of the adult-themed stories of the other Princes of Sin storylines. So enjoying that. Really excited for Throne of Secrets, which is yet to come out. It comes out at the end of this month, and I'm in October right now while I'm filming. So excited to see what we can do with these guys and if they match up to the Kingdom of the Wicked series. So super, super excited to see if I can tackle these as well this fall. I felt like at this point I needed to stop adding more books to this TBR because, as you can see, it is absolutely insane and absolutely ridiculous. But that set of books right there that has the beautiful cabin on the painted edges, that's the Bergamot Brothers series. That also seemed like it could be a very good fall vibe book set. I also love the fact that it's set in that camping kind of vibe. I just think it seems so much fun. And I'm still waiting on a couple of books to arrive. They have not arrived yet. But TJ Klune's new book for the sequel to House of the Cerulean Sea is coming in the mail, and it does have painted edges, and it's so cute, and I feel like that would be perfect for fall time as well. So that's also potentially on my TBR list. And then last but not least, definitely going to make it onto the reading list for either December or November, I also have Lynn Painter's second book in the Just Like the Movies series. I think it's called So Not Like the Movies. So I'm excited to read that one too, about Wes and Macy stories. I just think it's going to be amazing to finish that series as well and see what that has to offer. So I'm excited for that book too. So as you can see, this is all insane. And let's not even consider the fact that I'm also going to start reading the Zodiac series in October. I do not plan on getting much further than the first book and maybe the first novella. But that being said, there is a possibility that we will tackle that entire shelf as well. Although that's probably going to be more of a January, February vibe. And then I think next year the theme is going to be very much series focused. So I do have the Addicted Callaway series that I want to go through. I have the entire 23 set books for Zodiac Academy that I do see myself going through, because it was literally described to me as a adult Harry Potter. And I was like, that just speaks my language, because Harry Potter is probably some of my favorite books of all time. So yeah, I think altogether I have about 50 books in this collection that I just discussed with you guys briefly. That being said, stick around. I'll definitely put out a real November TBR eventually, and definitely a November reading wrap up whenever that happens. I might do a Russian roulette system, or like pick a name from a jar, pick a prompt, and pick a book type of vibes to help narrow down like the 10 to 15 books that I'd want to actually put on the November TBR. So I will film that for you guys eventually when I get to that as well. And then, of course, things to look forward to as we're rolling into November include the reading wrap up for October. I think you guys are going to be very impressed with the number of books read as well as which books were read, because I have really been bitten by the reading bug in October. I think at this point, while I'm filming this video, it is currently October 16th, and here on this date of October 16th, so far I have managed to read a total of 11 books already. I think I'm at 11 books already, and I have 4 more books left to get me to complete the entirety of my TBR. I really think I can do it. The physical book that I'm reading right now is the Mind F series by St. Abbey, and I'm really enjoying it. It's quite interesting. And then I just finished Beautiful Villains today, which I'll talk more about when we do our reading wrap up. And then outside of that, the first week of October, I somehow managed to read 7 books in 7 days. So that was just amazing to have that kind of time to be able to do that. And then since that week, I have completed 3-4 more books since then as well. So it's just been a great reading month so far. I hope this energy continues. I hope I can show you guys even more books that we've read for the month and share all of the exciting October reads that I am finding right now. Definitely very much on the spooky, super like paranormal, supernatural, like that type of stuff vibes for me in October. So I have been doing a lot of that. So if that's not really your jam, then you may not enjoy the selection of books talked about, but there are some cozy romances in there too, like This Spells Love and things like that. So it definitely has been enjoyable reading so far, but I think my goals for fall reads is just absolutely nuts. I think I'm a nutso person. I fully admit that I'm a nutso person with the sheer number of books that I want to consume, but just wanted to share all that with you guys. I hope you guys are having a lovely day wherever you are. For those of you who are new, I hope you enjoy this content. If you guys are bookish people, then hopefully this spoke to you. And you might want to come back and visit in the future. I put out videos every Wednesday and Sunday. So if you do want to be notified and you do want to be part of our bookish community, definitely consider hitting that subscription button and that notification bell. And then for those of you who are returning, thank you so much for joining me. If there's any books that you feel like I don't have on my TBR that I should have on my TBR, please leave a comment below and definitely tell me if any of these books have inspired you to potentially add them to your November TBR or December TBR. And if you have any books in this collection that you may have on your TBR shelf that you want to read or that you are currently reading and what your thoughts are. I always love hearing from you guys, and I absolutely love every single one of you guys and your support. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing my obsession with books, and it was just such a pleasure to talk to you guys. I know this started off as a November TBR and somehow turned into just books and goals in general for the holiday season between now and January, but there's just so many good books to read. I can't pick. So fingers crossed I'll have a better TBR video for you guys soon. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys on the next one.